Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jamie McDonald here with Mike Beaning for Lucky episode number 13. And what's crazy is it's episode 13, and we've had no technical glitches so far. So I'm gonna take that as a good sign. So 13, I think, is a
Yeah,
lucky number.
yeah,
So how's
maybe
it going, Mike?
it's going great. It's going great. Warm inside. Holy cow, has it been cold in Michigan?
Yeah. So for those
Not
of
that it's
you
your
who
weather forecast, but
for those who are watching from outside of Michigan, let me just say that it has been a little bit ridiculous as far as how cold it's been. We've had sub-zero wind chills. This past Saturday, I was out shooting, and the wind was blowing. We had 35, 40 mile an hour wind gusts, which put the wind chill like at 30 below zero. And yeah, I went out and shot a little bit in that, and probably shouldn't have been driving in blizzard conditions, but you get cabin fever after a while in Michigan. So
yeah, that's for sure.
um, show format tonight, we're going to do a little bit of news. I think we're going to share some photos because everybody knows we like to do the photo share. And we'll talk about some upcoming events this year that Mike and I are super excited to be able to talk about. So I guess we'll just lead off with a little bit of news. Yeah, I'm kind of demanding the mic here and hogging it all. I apologize for that, but
Yeah, go ahead.
so today I was surfing the web and come across a story on F-Stoppers, which is one of those sites that I seem to hit every single day about 5 times to look for new news stories. And I came across an Indiegogo campaign. And Indiegogo is like Kickstarter. It's a place where people can pitch an idea for something and get crowdsourced, funding for it. And what caught my eye was that it seemed to call out specifically mirrorless cameras. What do you know? I mean, it's kind of what we do here. So, of course, I had to investigate it. And I'll just do a really quick screen share and just show their Indiegogo page. And then I'll talk a little bit about it as I got it up on the screen. So, here we are on the Indiegogo page. And basically, it is this super cool deal that mounts to the body of your camera in between, so it's going to go in between your camera and the lens. And what it does is it allows you to drop in a filter on the back side of your lens. And why this is a big deal for me, or for a lot of people that like to shoot landscapes, is that it's going to allow you to drop in a filter behind a fisheye lens or behind an ultra wide, like the upcoming Zuiko 7 to 14 millimeter lenses that have crazy huge wide front lens elements that take really crazy custom filter adapters in order to get a filter in front of. This will allow you to drop in a filter on the back side of that. And it's going to work with any kind of lens as well. But I just thought it was a really cool, innovative idea. I know I was speaking with Mike the other week and talking about how it would be kind of cool to put a filter on the back side of some of your lenses, although I didn't quite envision it working out like this product potentially will, but pretty cool. The Indiegogo campaign literally just started today, so they're only at $79 of funding. Their goal is $50,000, and I know that seems like a lot, but if you, as somebody who's tried to launch a Kickstarter campaign, I can tell you that manufacturing costs are astronomical. So, I personally think I'm going to jump in and back this one. I'd love to see this thing get backed. I know, again, like I said, for upcoming lenses that are crazy wide, like the new Olympus Zuiko 8mm fisheye and the upcoming 7 to 14mm ultra wide angle, something like this is going to be great in order to be able to throw a filter behind it.
What's the price on that, Jamie, to get in where you get one?
Okay, so it looks like to me you're going to have to jump in, and you get at
$79.
$79 is like their early bird special.
Okay.
And yeah, that's I'm sorry, $99. I think you're going to get the actual owl itself. I think $79. No, $79. Yeah, you get the basic filter kit. Cool. I mean,
that's the time to jump on too on these things, because those usually go quick.
Yeah, so I mean, it's cheap. $79 for, I think it was like the first 100 people to jump in on that. You could spend more than $79 on one B&W filter for your lens. So I mean, it's worth it to take a look.
Yeah, and just tell you, I've got that Lee 7, the 7.5 series for mirrorless cameras. Well, let me tell you, you want to talk about expensive? I think I had to sell two Nikon lenses. I'm pretty sure it was probably about $450 to
Yeah,
get just a series of NDs and the whole thing to snap on your front of your camera. So that's a
yeah,
heck of a deal. And again, you can't touch the new 7 to 14 or the new fisheye. You can't do
right.
anything with those. So I think that's a great deal. I know I'll be putting in myself.
Yeah,
So we'll probably get that out too on our site too for Mirrorless Minutes, I'm sure.
yeah. It'll definitely show up in the notes after the
Yeah,
show.
yeah, that'll be cool, definitely.
So, do you
All
want
right,
to
well,
you want to share a few
I
pictures,
think
Mike?
yeah, let's share, and then you're gonna talk about it because I know people. I had someone contact me actually say, "Hey, is Jimmy gonna talk about the new EM5?" I said, "Yeah, he
Yeah.
will." But yeah, let's go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll let
Well,
you jump in and start it
all
off
right,
then.
let's see here. All right, since the last time, done a little bit of traveling. Can you see that at all?
I see a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Good. Well, that's a good thing. I don't know where my guy went though. All right. Hold on here. Okay, so now you're seeing him. So this is Austin, Texas,
Isn't
on
isn't there
Sixth Street.
isn't their motto like "Keep it weird" or something like that?
Yes, it absolutely is. It's on shirts in most of the stores on Sixth Street.
Cool.
And it is weird and it's odd, but yeah, this guy just hanging in the streets. I mean, seeing what's going on. Sixth Street is a combination. If you've ever been to New Orleans, during Mardi Gras, and combination of that and Beale Street in Memphis, with all the great music playing, that's sort of a combination of what Sixth Street is like. So it's a fantastic area for street shooting. You can't do any better when you're there in Texas, that's for sure. So just some of the odd things that are going on there, and I'll make this to see, is it after 8 o'clock? Yeah, it is. So we're hoping some of the kids are to bed, and I don't know how many under 18s we have watching there right now, but I had to share this one, this flasher, just walking the streets, and out of nowhere, this all happened in 3 seconds. This guy. I keep laughing just looking at it. He's flashing. There's a crowd of people in the window watching a show on stage. There must be 100 people inside this building, and he's standing out in front holding the sign, and that's the reflection I got in the mirror in the glass there. It says Florida or bust.
Okay.
And it was cold that night. I'm telling you, it is never this cold usually in Austin. It was 44 degrees the night that I was out. That's pretty cold for Austin. And he's out there and running around doing this, and it all, like I said, in 3 seconds, and click, 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 couldn't believe it, and was ready for a shot. So I just loved that. A little interesting. That's a good trip to Austin. So then I had the next week I was out in Philadelphia, and I was able to get a hold of Frank Smith, Olympus visionary, and able to go out shooting with him, and also Victoria Diaz, who's done a lot of things for us on the show, and we probably got a link to her stuff too. She's doing a whole series of new blog posts and video blogs on equipment for mirrorless cameras. But we were able to go out and shoot that evening. Frank knows the spots in Philly, and he brought us to a couple. And this first one here, that's just a long exposure, 15-second exposure shot with an EM1 and a 12 to 40 lens. But of course, in the bottom there is the sign holder for the expressway. But just a great area to shoot. Darn cold that night. That was cold that night. That had to be down around 20-some degrees, 25 degrees. Out on the top of a bridge. It was cold, and to the left, you don't see it, is all water. So it was even cooler right there. But got a chance to do that, and then saw some great places that he can take us around, and then of course, what would a visit be to a city without live composite? That's my new motto, I think. I tell you, I can't. My own Mark Miller commented on Facebook, I can't get enough of live composite. I keep trying to think of new ways, and so we did. This is a 25 minute live composite with a shot going off every 0.8 of a second. So many shots, obviously. And somehow you just can't plan these things. That was some kind of plane that whipped through there with that big arch, which was fantastic. How it came out, and then back in that corner, all those circles around the buildings. It looks like it's around a building. It's actually in between two buildings, and all those circles are helicopters landing at local hospitals in the area. So you look at that and you go, holy cow, all that stuff happened while I was there. And off to the right, in the bottom right, those are trains. That's a train station, trains going back and forth. And then, of course, the nice reflection. So appreciate Frank taking us around, and that was amazing stuff. And anybody, message me if you want to know exactly where it is. I'll, show you on a map. But great times. A lot of fun to see. Just stop there.
Yeah, I think that is probably one of the coolest examples of what live composite can do that I've seen yet. That's just mind-bendingly awesome. And you're right, like if you're sitting there for 25 minutes and you're there with Frank and Victoria, and you guys have your cameras rolling doing live composite and you're talking, and I'm sure you're watching the scene, but you just can't put it together in your head what all is happening over the course of 25 minutes. And then to see that, and the cool thing is, you're watching it on the back of the camera too. And I'm sure at some point you're like, oh my gosh, really?
I think the tip on live composite that isn't written and hasn't been written, we're going to have to amend all the rules of live composite, is you must shoot with someone else so that you have someone to talk to.
Oh, good grief, yeah.
Because 25 minutes alone, unless I guess you're reading a good book or something, but on an expressway overpass, it's sometimes nice to have some people watching your back. And it was great. We talked cameras the whole time. In fact, I think a lot of it happened because we sort of forgot about the live composite going.
Yeah, you just let it run, yeah.
And then we looked and we went, oh my God, look at this.
Yeah. And another tip, too, would be to bring somebody who doesn't own an Olympus camera so that they can see what you're ranting and raving about. It's, again, one of the most innovative features I think I've seen yet on a camera. So, super cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, and you had a heck of a host, too. Frank is... he's a gentleman's gentleman. He's very awesome. Definitely a good host. So I don't have anything quite as dramatic as that to share. So actually, I've got pretty domestic stuff to share here. So first shot here, my youngest child. This isn't him. This is my oldest son. My youngest son, though, his school had a mother-son bowling day. And, of course, I'm like the one dad that goes, and took a camera to kind of document the thing. And my oldest son, he came along, and he just had this thing in him where he wanted to just kind of be Mr. Cool that day. So he wore his leather jacket and his mirrored aviator glasses and his headphones, and he was just sitting on the couch watching everybody bowl. And I thought, okay, hold on. I'm just going to squeeze in here and fire off a shot. And this is, for the most part, straight out of camera, except for I added a little bit of fade to it. But this is using, again, the in-camera black and white with this is the EM1. And I believe the 75 millimeter f1.8.
All right, and I gotta pop in. So that's the only day he wanted to act cool?
Right? Yeah, no.
Okay, go ahead. All right.
The only day where it was super obvious.
Right.
And the reason I'm sharing this photo, I know that there's not anything like phenomenal about it, other than the fact that, and I made a mistake. I bragged about the ISO on this online, and I was wrong. It's actually at 3200. I said 6400, but I made a mistake when I said that. But still, at 3200, this is like the most ridiculously clean. And I know it's not going to show through in probably a screen share like this, but this is this. There's so much detail in this shot for ISO 3200, and this is literally right off the EM1, no processing, no crop, anything. And this is, again, with the 75 millimeter 1.8 wide open, because as crazy bright as bowling alleys might look when you're in there, they're really actually pretty dark. So, again, floored by the high ISO capability of the EM1 sometimes. Just kind of blows my mind. And the next one is, this was on the crazy blizzard day that I was talking about when it was like 30 below. And I was speaking with somebody else that's in the Visionary program, Larry Price. And I was just talking about, kind of cabin fever setting in and just looking for something to shoot and being motivated. And Larry told me to walk out the door and walk 6 minutes east and take a picture of the first thing that catches my eye. And I responded back, it's 30 below. Would you mind if I drove my car? So he says, yeah, that's fine. Jump in the car. So that's what I did. I took his advice. And that's just one of those exercises I think everybody needs to do. You know, I just jumped in my car and took off and headed east for about 6 minutes. And in the rearview mirror, this is what I saw as I was coming down there. I thought, holy cow, it's the picture I want to take isn't in front of me, it's behind me. So I stopped and got out and just snapped a sunset photo in 30-degree below weather here in Michigan. And while I was out driving, I stumbled upon this crazy red barn, which was just around the corner from where I took that first shot. And I guess the reason I stopped to take this is just because it was sunset and the sun was hitting this barn and just lighting it up. And you can see the light on the trees above the barn, so you can tell that's what's illuminating it. But this is straight out of camera too. I mean, it was literally that bright. And the last shot is just a really minimal black and white, and I don't know what it is. There's just something about these little scenes in nature, you know, like this is just where the ice is separated away from this moving river. I don't understand how the whole process quite works, but it was about a 6-inch difference in height from the water to the ice, but it just had this kind of a cool contrasty look to it, very minimal, stark white to the black, to the reflections in the water. Just, again, you know, just one of those things where I just kind of took a shot at doing something just a little bit different. And that's kind of all I've been shooting lately, you know. Nothing majorly spectacular, just kind of observing what's going on around me and just shooting that.
I'll tell you, that road picture, though, is spectacular. I love that one. I mean, it's just to go out and to have that road, the sun, the sky looks great. Yeah, actual clouds, you can see clouds.
And that's the
whole thing being a cloud.
That's the weird thing about that day too, you know. I mean, it was bitter cold.
Oh.
But if you looked outside, the sun was shining. It just looked so beautiful. It made you just want to run outside, and then the cold air hits you, and you want to run back inside and just get the hell away from it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But again, you know, like I said, I haven't been shooting a whole lot. No travels for me lately, so it's just all local shooting.
Yeah. Well, we've got enough. You've got enough out there. If I drove 6 minutes east, I'd hit a shopping mall, and 6 minutes west, I'd hit a shopping mall, and it'd be boring, I'm telling you.
But it's great for a street shooter, so it works.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But,
so you want to transition into talking about some new products, maybe?
Yeah, let's go ahead. I think something's new.
Right. So, you know, it's been a few weeks, and I've released a few videos on my own YouTube channel about it, and we haven't really talked about the new OMD EM5 Mark II yet on this show, just because I kind of wanted to hold off until I had one back in my hands, and I don't yet. It's on its way, which is exciting. You know, that's why I'm getting all like, you know, smiley and stuff. But I did have one for about 5 days. And again, you know, on my personal YouTube channel, you can see a few videos discussing that. But I guess, you know, we probably should at least talk about it on our show. And I guess just a few of the things that I want to talk about it are to answer some of the questions that people have had who are currently in like a first generation EM5 and are on the fence, you know, do I get the EM5 Mark II or do I get the OMD EM1? And I'm going to tell people my personal opinion is, regardless of whether or not Olympus labels one as a flagship and the other one is like the next notch down, at heart I'm a tech freak. I'm a junkie for technology. You know, I'm one of those people. I like to be an early adopter for stuff. So my advice to you is going to be, get the Mark II. It's got newer features in it. I know that it's smaller design style, and that, you know, that's a lot of what it comes down to too. Is that the ergonomics are different on the Mark II versus the OMD EM1, and for some people who have larger hands, they're going to probably want the grip shape that's on the EM1. But if you're like me and you're after, like, you know, the bleeding edge of technology and what cameras can do yourself a favor and get the EM5 Mark II. Everybody's read about some of the features that it has, like this super high res mode that it can do, and I'll talk just really briefly about that. I know a lot of our viewers probably already know what it is, and for the couple that don't know what it is, it'll be totally cool to talk about it. So everybody knows that the Olympus cameras use this in-body image stabilization, and it's basically the image sensor has these magnetic voice coils. Okay, think about a speaker. I don't know if you know the way a speaker works, but you've got this voice coil, and it uses an electromagnet that makes the voice coil float. It moves in and out. Well, the same sort of technology is used as a way to manipulate the orientation of the sensor in the camera, so that as you move the camera, the sensor just kind of floats around and compensates for any movement that you have. And on the EM5 and the EM1, it's 5-axis, so it can compensate for, you know, roll, and it can compensate for pitch, and I'm probably getting all these wrong. One of them's yaw, one's pitch, one's roll, up and down, side to side. It can compensate for all this 3D axis movement. And I'm just going to say the geniuses. The geniuses at Olympus figured out that they can take that the control that that sensor has, that movement that it has, and control it to such a fine detail that they can make the image sensor capture like full resolution image on just the red sensor site, the green sensor site, the blue sensor site, and then the full color sensor site. And it rotates around. It does this full capture on each of the color sensor sites, merges them all together, and compiles it into basically one full, like, 40 megapixel image from a 16 megapixel sensor. And I know it sounds like crazy, and there's a lot more to it than my very, very layman way of describing it, but I encourage people to get online and look it up, because there are a lot of sites right now that are currently doing comparisons of a standard 16 megapixel photo from the EM5 Mark II and one of the 40 megapixel high-res versions. Or they're even comparing it to, and this is the bee's knees, whatever, you know, I'm trying not to swear because I'm so excited about it, but Canon, you know, and some of these other full-frame cameras have like 36, and now I think Canon has like they're announced a 50 megapixel sensor.
Yeah.
They're doing comparisons with this Micro Four Thirds 16 megapixel sensor in super high res mode versus these full frame cameras, and I'll tell you what, you won't be able to tell the difference. Actually, shit, to be honest with you, now I'm swearing. I hate to do that. Now it's an R-rated show. Some of these images, I think, in my opinion, are definitely better than what I'm seeing come off of the full frame cameras. You know,
where do you see people use that? Because I know they talk about the tripod.
Yeah, so let me talk about that. So there are limitations to this, because if you think about it, the camera needs to be stable, because the sensor has to move around and capture the scene like 8 different times is what this ends up being. It interpolates 8 different images to combine them into one. So you can't have movement. So you're not going to be able to do this while a Formula One car goes by, okay? You know, because it takes a little bit of time for this to happen. It happens pretty damn fast, but not so fast that you can compensate for a moving subject. So currently, you should be on a tripod when you're doing this. And where I can see it being used personally, the big one that everybody talks about, product photography. Definitely. If you're doing something, you know, I think like watches, intricate, you know, jeweled movements in very high-end watches, stuff like that, where you want like tons of detail and craftsmanship, that's where it's perfect for. For me personally, being the nature freak that I am and the outdoor guy, macro photography. If you've got a subject that's sitting still, like some of these insects that I like to photograph, if I have a subject that's going to sit still for like the 1 second that it's going to take to do this, I mean, come on, 40 megapixel high-res images, like at f16 with the 60 millimeter macro at 1:1. These are going to be like ridiculous, like super awesome high-res macro photos, and those are the 2 cases where I see it being used a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like even interiors, maybe. You know,
oh,
like,
good grief, yes, definitely. You know, that's a genius. Yes.
For real estate, I mean,
that's a brilliant use.
There might be some cool stuff you could do with that, because I know there's a few architecture shooters that always talk about, well, I've got to have a bigger megapixel camera because we've got to, you know, crop out this or that. you're right there. I mean, how much is going to be moving around in the house?
Yeah, I never even thought about that. That's a brilliant
Hmm.
use for it. I mean, think about it. If you're in a high-end home or an upscale restaurant or hotel or something like that, what's better than snapping a photo like that that has so much detail in it that people can kind of just pick through the image and all the little details and all the little things that are in a scene, and have them all in super high quality detail. That's pretty cool. That's a great idea. I never even thought of that.
Yeah, so that'll be yeah, I know I'll be excited then to get one because if I can get at a couple of hotels that I'm traveling that are sharp
Yeah,
on the inside, you know, still tell people don't walk through my scene. I need it
definitely.
perfect.
And so I'll just talk about maybe two other things on the camera that are things that really jumped out at me. I keep saying I'm trying to get away from that. Apologies. So, what I started off with Olympus cameras. Okay, everybody knows my story. I've Olympus nonstop ever since I first got a camera. One of the last, or actually the last DSLR I owned, had a fully articulating screen. So right now on the EM1, the EM10, the EM5, some of the pens, the screen, and I don't have one close by, but the screen, kind of does like one of these tilty numbers, except it comes out from the top. So you can swivel it down, you can swivel it up. But on the EM5 Mark II, it will actually come out from the side and be able to spin all the way around. So, if you're doing shots where it's low to the ground, you can actually have it facing all the way up towards you, or if you're, shooting a crowd, you can have it swiveled all the way down facing you this way. You can have it turned around so it's actually facing the front of the camera. For me, because I understand that the EVF is giving you exactly what your finished product is going to be, I don't necessarily need the display on the back of the camera, to be honest with you. And I think if I'm out shooting at night, I don't want that bright screen flashing in my face. It's annoying. So, or for street shooters, maybe if you want a little more discretion without a screen that's always lit up on your side if you're out shooting at night, then what you
You
can
hit it. That's what I was going to say.
then you can take that
That's it right
screen,
there.
flip the screen
Hmm.
around, and tuck
Yep.
it up against the back of the body. Now it's like an old school camera with no display on it.
Yep.
So for
And it's a
me,
nice protection to have too. Protects that. It
oh yeah,
protects the
definitely.
viewfinder at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah, that's gonna be
And
sharp.
and the last thing, again, I think I'm not a street shooter, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that this is something that would appeal to you guys, is that it can utilize an electronic shutter. It doesn't utilize it all the time, but it can go into like a mode where it's using an electronic shutter. So what that means is that you don't have that. For some reason, my iTunes started playing all by itself. So what happens is you don't have that curtain jumping up and down. You don't hear that slapping sound. So you get a completely silent electronic shutter. No noise. Again, go check out my YouTube channel and you can see the video and you can see me being goofy and holding it up and saying, see, I don't hear any noise
Yeah,
because
you hear that?
it is dead silent. And again, I think one of the perks of it being, or one of the benefits of an electronic shutter is that now you have an increased shutter speed.
Yeah.
And this goes up to 1/16,000th of a second. So we're getting close to
Hummingbirds. Hummingbirds.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it'll be really easy to get hummingbirds with wings in the photos instead of just no wings.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Well, I had two people contact me on the silent shutter, and yes, I've talked to all kinds of people, and me being the number one person in line about the silent shutter that I can't wait to have, because I'm sick of talking to Fuji people about theirs. But anyways, I've had two people. One was a wedding photographer that's using Olympus stuff and for churches and that. But the other one was a parent that does all the ballet stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because people are always turning around. He used to shoot Nikon, and of course, when you're shooting a Nikon, that thing was always making noise. And
loud.
Shooting Olympus is still making some noise, obviously. But now he'll have that added benefit too of getting the increased shutter. And then doesn't it increase when you're in silent mode the
frame rate? Yeah, the frames. 11 frames per second.
Yeah, it's machine gun.
Okay, I guess there's probably one other thing that I should mention. It's something that has been like everybody, well, not me, but a lot of people, and that is there are now different frame rates available for video. So currently, like on the EM1 and the EM10 and all the other cameras, 30 and 60 frames per second are your standard frame rates, and those are what are common here in the United States. If you're really big into video, something that gives like a more cinematic feel is 24 frames per second, and that's it's hard to explain. It has like a more of an analog feel to it, the slower frame rate. So people wanted that. People in European countries and overseas, their electricity operates on a different frequency, different hertz or refresh rate. So they needed something other than 30 and 60. They needed like 25 and 50. So Olympus has added those frame rates, and they've added a few other things too. And I'm not a big video guy, so hopefully I don't butcher any of this. But they added what they call it, all intra, and I'm not sure what that does. Somebody want to chime in and let me know? Then that'd be cool. But one of the things that they did do that I do know that I will use it is clean HDMI out.
Right.
So basically what you can do with that, what I will do with it, is you'll be able to hook up an HDMI cable to the camera and run it to an external monitor. So as you're recording, if I'm getting this right, you will have like a live display of what you're seeing, but also I think that allows you to also, if you want, export out straight and record directly into an external hard drive. I hate talking about things that I'm not fully certain of. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying something wrong, but I know for me though, the external monitoring on a monitor will be cool because I do some videos aside from this show, and currently what I'm doing is I'm setting up a tripod, I'm sitting in front of it, I start talking, I just do like a test reel, and then I go back and watch it, make sure it looks good, and then I go from there. If I can live monitor, that would be kind of cool. So there are other video features too that I'm not going to go into, but like as far as audio recording in your video, but just be aware that it's definitely geared more towards video people this time around too.
That's cool. So, and what's the price on it? $1,099? Is
$1,099. Yes, it is.
$1,099? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yep, so there's a couple of things you can get for the grips. If you want to increase the grip, get a battery grip deal.
Yes.
And there's actually one that has like the L bracket built in too, isn't there?
Yeah, it looks like an Arca Swiss.
Like an Arca Swiss.
Yep. And then you mentioned the battery grip. That's the one that actually has a headphone jack on it.
Right.
So that, again, if you're doing video, you can monitor your audio through headphones, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
More of a video thing. So I say we kind of jump into maybe talking about some educational opportunities.
Yes. Let's talk about that. You know, when Jamie and I started the program, and I thought we always thought it was going to grow, and we thought people would obviously start to follow and that. And one of the things we both like to do, and I'm hoping everyone's getting that from watching us, is, you know, obviously we like to talk about the cameras, but we really want to be out there shooting. And when we get together and shoot, we've shot together and we've shot together with some other people. The greatest thing is starting to learn, you know, and teach what we've come to know in these cameras. And heck, there's 2, 3, 4 things I think we always pick up from each other. Like, I didn't even know it did that, and I've been working it this way the whole time. So we've decided to launch a couple of workshops, and right now we've got 2 that are out there pending, and of course there's more we're talking about. But you know, you're going to spend, like the first one, we're calling it small town to downtown. We're actually starting in the downtown area, going to a small town, but it sounded better, small town to downtown. And you know, we're going to go out. We're actually going to rent a van, so nobody has to drive. Nobody has to drive into the city, try to find a place to park and all that. We'll all be together. And there's a real big plus to that, is that, you know, it's drive time. It's drive time to the city. It's you know, we're eating lunch. We go out. We eat lunch together. It's drive time to the country the next day. All those times you're talking about camera stuff. I mean, it is just, I guarantee you, you know, we're not going to be talking about sports usually. We're going to be talking about camera things. And I've taken a lot of workshops, and one thing that I like to do when teaching them is to understand is this is the time you get to break away from you know, going on your vacation and being very limited to how much time you can really shoot. Because, hey, I've got to take the kids here, or I know my wife's going to kill me if I have to get up and make everybody get up to watch, you know, sunrise. This is the time where you're with just photographers, so you're unplugged. It's a fantastic, and until you know that feeling, if you haven't taken a workshop, when you experience it, you're going to start saying, I need to do more workshops, because that's really when you exercise your craft, and that's what's so much fun. So you'd have 2 full days in the small town to downtown. We're going to start off going down into Detroit. We're going to shoot, let's see if I can bring that up. Maybe I can screen share it here even and try to find it real quick. Here it is right here. Let's see if you can see that at all. Did it come up?
Sure did.
Okay. All right, great. So on Saturday, this is Saturday, July 7th or July 18th, and Sunday, July 19th. You know, we're going to start out at the hotel that people would be staying at. We'll all get into, like I said, one van and head on down to the Michigan Central Station. And if you're from Michigan, you've seen this. If not, you may have seen it too. It's a pretty nationally famous building, actually. It is abandoned. We're not going to go inside. It is patrolled by the Homeland Security, so we won't be getting in trouble with them, but we can get some fantastic pictures of the area and of that building, and it's something very iconic to Detroit. And plus, at this point, they're repairing the building, actually, putting in new windows. We want to get that feel of the thing before new windows get in there. You know, we'll go eat some lunch, head out to a couple urban art areas. Some amazing things, the Grand River Creative Corridor, and you know, a couple other areas that I know on the side where I can get to, just with some amazing graffiti and art. And then we'll hit the Riverwalk and the DeQuinder Cut, a couple other things that are right downtown, brand new, real, like I put in here, you know, real edgy feel of the city. By that point, we're going to be towards dinner time, and I'm positive we will be. Our legs will be weary, but we're going to go into Greektown, and Greektown is an amazing place, not only for the food, of course, but it's a great place for some street shooting. We'll have a little bit of time there, but we're going to eat there too. That's important. And then to end up the night, we'll head on over to the People Mover and get on the People Mover, our little transportation that does a circle around Detroit. And there's a couple very special parking garages that we can get on top of the roof and really work some of the areas. And if you have an Olympus camera, great, you're going to love it because you'll love live composite. And if you don't, we'll be able to work with you know, long exposure as well in there. So that'll end up Saturday. We'll get you back to the hotel, and then, you know, Sunday morning, you know, Jamie, maybe you talk a little bit about it. I know we don't want to reveal all the places yet, but
yeah, because a lot of those are actually still in
right.
under the investigative portion of things, because we started planning this late last year, actually more towards winter, scouting locations where we could do the rural side of shooting in that side of the state hasn't occurred yet, so I plan on using some time this spring. But I mean, you can rest assured I'm pretty good at finding the off the beaten path places to shoot out in the countryside. So we're probably looking somewhere, I'm thinking over towards maybe the Monroe area along US 12, or there are some other spots that that'll probably fit the bill out there for countryside shooting. I like to try to capture the feel of rural Michigan. You know, we're definitely there's gonna be a lot of contrast here. You know, day one is gonna be definitely urban, street centric. It's gonna definitely have a whole different flow to it than the country feel that we'll give you on the second day. So
and that's what's nice is you're going to be able to stretch your camera. You know, you'll be able to use lenses. You'll be able to try numerous different ways to shoot these you know, these special areas. So I think that really does help. And again, it's not just for, this isn't just for Olympus users. It's anybody.
Oh yeah, anybody will benefit from this without a doubt.
Bring your iPhone, shoot with film. Doesn't bother me. You know, come out, because we're taken to these places is part of the battle to begin with. You know, and then I think when we get back, because we're going to get up pretty early. In fact, I even underlined it in our little description there. Very early.
Yeah. Sunrise.
And, yes. And then we'll go back to the hotel. We've got a room rented. If you bring your laptop, we'll start calling through the pictures, do some post processing. You know, Jamie and I are both familiar enough, I'm sure, with Lightroom, but other things I'll have on one. I'm real familiar with working with on one. If you took some pictures, you want to use some different processing methods, we'll go into that. And then we'll have a little slideshow. I've got a nice projector, a nice screen. We'll sit back, try to get something to drink, and just talk about maybe 4 or 5 pictures each that we liked the best over the weekend, and ended up. And I think I put it in all of our workshops all the time. It always is. I'll stop this screen share for a second. But you're gonna walk away, and yeah, you'll have some new tips, you'll have some things, some notes and that. But the people you meet, I'm telling you, you will stay in touch with them. I've been in touch with people that I took workshops with 4 years ago, constantly, because especially for the ones that you like shooting with, you say, hey, you want to do this one next year or whatever. So I suggest you really try to get to that if you can. All the information, we'll put links in the notes today, but it's actually the signing up is right on my website. We still have a few spots open, so we'd love to see you there. And hey, you get to spend all weekend with us, running around the city and the country. Should be fun, and rain or shine, we're doing it. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. And if you didn't notice on the screen share, you can find out more information and sign up for those workshops on Mike's site. It's mikebeening.com, and he's got a section right there on his site for that. So easy to find, easy to get signed up. And Mike, we're running over a little bit on time, but do you want to tell them about the workshop that's coming up before that one even?
Yeah, I will, and I'll go quick. Actually, I won't even screen share. I'll just tell you. Yeah. It's going to be for Olympus shooters only. So pen model, OMD models. Hey, we want to have you out. We've already sold through half the spots, so they're going to go fairly quick, fairly inexpensive. I think it's $49 we charge. We're going to shoot for, I don't know, probably 7-8 hours, really. We're going to eat a little bit. We'll have some lunch in there too. We're not going all day without eating. We are going to shoot and work and exercise those Olympus cameras and try to give you every possible thing that you know. We'll work on art filters, HDR. I'm looking at some of the stuff, keystone correction. So we're going to go into the city of Detroit. We'll do some street shooting. We're going to do landscape shooting, cityscape shooting, double exposure. Show you how manual focus is working and focus peaking. A lot of people are confused sometimes on that. So, and then if you like some of those settings, and I know Jamie's big on this, I've got a couple myself. We're going to show you how to put them into your My Sets.
Yeah,
know what you got. So when you go home, all you got to do is hit one thing, and you're ready to go back into your My Sets. This will be a fun workshop, and we're spending every minute together. We're going to eat lunch together. And Jamie and I will certainly allow you to use. I'll bring every lens I can bring, and I know Jamie will probably do the same. And
oh yeah,
we're free to exchange lenses. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to let you take them home, but I know you can use them. And hey, you may even have a lens that I want to check out. So.
Yep, and it's a good opportunity, like Mike said. We'll both be bringing a ridiculous assortment of lenses. It's one of the perks of our system. And so you'll get a chance to get your hands on lenses that you might not have gotten a hold of yet, or even seen in person. I've got the 40 to 150 sitting right there. That'll definitely be there for you to play around with and check out. And Mike also mentioned that we're about half sold out of spots on this, and the reason we're half sold out on spots is because we're keeping this small. It's definitely something that it's going to be easy to benefit from it because we're keeping it small enough to where there will definitely be a ton of one-on-one interaction with you if you come to this. So it's probably not any better learning opportunity anywhere other than this right here, this workshop. And it's like Mike said too, it's a good place to meet somebody else who's like-minded, who's into the system, and it's a good way to make a new photography friend. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it. And leaving it at that, I know I'll let you close out the show, but I am going to mention one thing, and that is our next show. This is the last Tuesday show we have.
Yep.
So we're going to go back to Wednesdays, and that first Wednesday, I'm looking at my map here and calendar. Wednesday, March 4th. That's our next show. So we're back on Wednesdays. We'll stay on Wednesdays, and on that show, and I don't know if it's in honor of being there, but we are going to have an interview that day. we are going to interview street photographer and TWIP host of Street Focus, Valerie Jardin. And, I'll mess up her name that night, too. So, Valerie's an amazing person, and you probably see me share all kinds of stuff from her. And I've taken her workshops, and I'm going to take another one this year in New York. So I think it's a great opportunity to learn more about her, and I know a lot of people will like that. So I'll let you take it from there.
All right, so again, I guess we're going to wrap up episode 13 here, and before we go, I'd like to throw in one more thing, and that is to make sure you look in the show notes for this show so you can find a link to not only the workshops that Mike and I are putting on, but to the Out of Chicago conference that's happening in June in Chicago. It is going to be off the hook. It is huge. There are some huge names in photography there, and Mike and I will be there too. And we're putting on our own workshop there as well. We'll be presenting and doing leading photo walks. So if you've got some free time this summer and you're even remotely close to the Midwest, I suggest you try to make it there and register for some of the walks and some of the classes. It'll be an incredibly great time and definitely a good experience for anybody who attends. So I guess that's it. That's episode 13, and we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. And don't forget to subscribe and give us the big thumbs up button on these videos if you like them, and share them with anybody that you think might be into mirrorless photography or even considering it. And we promise you we've got future guests coming up that shoot more than just Olympus, so don't hate on us too much. Love you guys. Everybody take care.
All right, see you, everyone.
Bye.